Form SSA-1-BK, Application for Retirement Insurance Benefits. So this is the typical retirement benefits application for the Social Security Administration. You can complete this online if you have a My Social Security account set up on the Social Security website. In this case, we're going to go through the SSA form step by step. A couple of things worth noting that we're not going to go into too much detail on this form. But first, the timing of your benefits. For people who are eligible for retirement benefits, you can apply as early as age 62 if you have the appropriate amount of work history, which is 40 quarters, roughly 10 years of work history. So you can apply as early as age 62. You'll receive reduced benefits up until you reach full retirement age. And then after full retirement age, your benefits will continue to grow if you choose to not claim them up until the age of 70. So once you reach age 70, then it's generally suggested that you apply for benefits because they won't grow any larger. So with that said, let's go through this form. A couple of things to note. At the very top, there's a box marked supplement. So if you've already completed an application for insurance benefits, then you would only need to complete the circled items. So if you've already applied for spousal benefits, which would be on Form SSA-2, and we'll put a link in the show notes to where you can reach our guides on that, then you only need to complete the circled items. And then the rest, any other claimants, you have to complete the entire Social Security form. So this document is listed as 9 pages long. Realistically, we go through about, I think, 6 pages, and then the 7th page is a signature page, and then after that there's some additional information. But really, most of your information is going to be on the first 6 or 7 pages. So let's start with item 1. Item 1, we're going to print your name. So in this case, we've got John Doe. We've entered his Social Security number here. Question 3 only applies if English is not your language of preference. Let's just say that John Doe prefers to speak in Spanish, but he actually writes in French. You can write whatever you want. The Social Security Administration will try to make accommodations based on your language preference. Enter your date of birth here. So in this case, John Doe looks like he's around age 65 at the time of his application. Not yet full retirement age, but if he wanted to apply, he would definitely be full retirement age at this point. City, state, and if you were born in a foreign country, the country that you were born in. Question 5, are you a U.S. citizen? If you answer yes, you can skip right to line 7. If not, it's going to ask your residency status. So are you an alien lawfully present in the United States? No. If not, then you would go to the next line. But if you were, then you would enter the date that you were lawfully admitted, based on your passport or your visa entry stamp. And then you would, in line 6, you'll enter your full name of birth if it's different from item 1. So we don't have to answer any of those because we did select yes to line 5. So item 7 asks about any other names or aliases that you may have used. Let's just say that he hasn't used any other names or aliases, but generally speaking, this would even include maiden names. So lots of people that change their maiden name to their married name when they get married, you would use this. Have you used any other Social Security numbers? This is probably a little bit less common, but There could be certain circumstances where you've had a Social Security number reassigned for a special occasion for some reason. So this would be your opportunity to enter the other Social Security number or numbers that you've used. Most people are going to select no and go on to item B. So question 9, if you are at least 1 year older than full retirement age, you would go straight to question 10. But basically, this is asking whether or not during your working history have you been unable to work because of injuries, illness, or other conditions. And if so, then you would say check yes, and then you would enter the date that you became unable to work. So let's just say that's no. Item 10, did you or your spouse or a prior spouse work in the railroad industry for at least 5 years? Do you or your spouse have Social Security credits based on another country's Social Security system? This could be literally any other country that has a Social Security or similar system. The most common example that I've seen personally would probably be Canada, simply because there are lots of people that live in the northern U.S. that have worked and lived in Canada, so they may have Social Security credits under a Canadian Social Security system. So in this case, John Doe would say no. But if the answer is yes, you would list the country, and then you would indicate whether or not you're filing for foreign Social Security benefits. Have you been married? So we'll say yes, and then we're going to answer item 13. But before we do, we're going to break it down into the 3 sections that it has. So 13A is about the current marriage. So if you're not currently married, you just write none, and then you go down to 13B. 13B is information about any other qualifying marriage if you had a marriage that lasted at least 10 years, if your prior marriage ended in the death of your spouse, regardless of how long it was, or if you were divorced, then you remarried the same person within the year immediately after the year of divorce, and your combined period of marriage was 10 years or more. And then item 13C is for any information about a marriage where if you had a child who's basically a qualifying child under the age of 16, or if they're disabled and handicapped and the disability began before age 22, and you were married for less than 10 years to the child's other parent who is now deceased, and the marriage ended in divorce. So we'll write none for this, and we'll write none for this. We'll focus on, John Doe's current marriage, which is his only marriage. So we'll write Jane Smith Doe. They were married their marriage is still going on, so we're going to write not ended. But if it was ended, you'll write when it was ended and where the divorce decree was settled upon. A clergyman performed the marriage, and John Doe's spouse is 68 years old. If she was deceased, then you would enter the date of death. We're going to skip this because these don't apply. We already declared that. And then you're going to list the full name of all children who are qualified for Social Security earnings benefits based on your earnings record. This includes any child under the age of 18, any child that's age 18 to 19 who's attending school full-time, any child who is disabled or handicapped as long as their disability began before the age of 22, and any student who is between the ages of 18 to 23 if they meet certain conditions. 1, previously entitled to Social Security benefits on any record for August 1981, and 2, in full-time attendance at a post-secondary school or college. So let's just write William Jackson Doe. So you just write the full name. That's it. So as many children as you want. You can use the remarks section if you needed to enter the information for additional children. So what I would do is 14, Mary Susan Doe, Brian William Doe, etc. So every time I use the remarks section for any kind of overflow, I would start it with the line number and then just enter whatever information is necessary. In line 15, did you have wages or self-employment income covered for Social Security in all years? Yes. Then you can go straight to line 16. If not, you would enter any years from 1978 through last year in which you did not have wages or self-employment income. You would enter in line 16 the names and addresses of any person, company, or government agencies for whom you worked this year, last year, and the year before last. So you can write none if you want. Let's just say work began in, let's see, so not ended, or you can put the month that you stopped working. If you have more than one employer, you should list the most recent one first and then go in descending order. And again, if you need more space, use the remarks section. Item 17 must be completed even if you're an employee. So if you were not self-employed, you would check no. If you were self-employed, you would say, I was self-employed either this year or last year or both. And then you would say, I'm a physician and my net earnings were more than $400. And then lines 18, 19, and 20 are going to reflect the amount of money that you earned last year, the amount that you expect to earn this year, and then the amount that you expect to earn next year. In line 20, you only need to answer this question if you're in the last 4 months of the year. So September, October, November, and December. The time of our recording, we're in August, so you would not need to complete box 20 if you completed it here. So let's just say $50,000. And then I believe the this year's guide for 2025 is something like 1950. I'm kind of flying by the seat of my pants on this, but we do have the most up-to-date information in our article, so check out the link in the show notes. You can also check out the instructions, how work affects your benefits. So you can select none, which means you did not earn more than $19.50 in any particular month, and you didn't perform substantial services and self-employment. And we go into more detail about what substantial services and self-employment means in our article, so be sure to check that out. But if you were completely retired and you were just waiting to claim your benefits, then you would say, I didn't earn anything, and I, check the box for none. Or you can check the box for all, or you can check select boxes. So let's just say that you worked all the way up until April and then you retired. You can do that as well. Line 19 is the same thing for this year's expected earnings. So you would do the same thing for this year's earnings. And then in line 20, you would do the same thing again for next year's expected earnings. If you use a fiscal year, which is any taxable year that ends in a date other than December 31st, like the government uses a fiscal year that ends in September 30th, then you would enter the month that your fiscal year ends. Most taxpayers will leave this blank. In line 22, if you are at least full retirement age plus 6 months or older, then do not complete item 22. You may have additional filing options and someone will contact you to discuss them. Otherwise, if you're under full retirement age or under FRA plus 6 months, then you would select one of these three options, either the earliest possible month and you'll accept an age-related reduction. you'll be full retirement age within the next 12 months and you want benefits as soon as possible, but without a reduction in your benefits, or I want a specific date, which you would enter right here. Complete item 23, which talks about Medicare benefits, only if you're within 3 months of age 65 or if you're older. So a lot of people don't apply for Medicare Part B if they're still working and they're covered by an employer with a qualifying group coverage, because you don't have to pay for Medicare Part B as long as you're covered by an employer-sponsored program. But if you're retiring and you're deciding to claim Social Security benefits and Medicare, then you would complete item 23, which is simply, do you want to enroll or not? Yes or no. And then 24 is has to do with supplemental security income. So if you're within age 65, 2 months of age 65 or older, if you're blind or disabled, you may be eligible for supplemental security income based on your income situation. So you can check yes or no. So let's say yes, and then let's just check no. And then use the remarks section as needed. And then you're going to sign, date, and list a phone number for which you can be reached. Under the direct deposit information, you would enter your 9-digit routing information, your transit number, if you will. For your bank, it's unique to your bank, so you should be able to find that on your checkbook or in your checking app. And then your account number. So let's just say we're putting in the checking account number. Make sure that this corresponds to the appropriate check account. So don't use your savings account number for your checking account. You can enroll in Direct Express. This is the debit card, the prepaid debit card that gets charged every month instead of having a direct deposit into your bank account. And you can check this to refuse direct deposit, even though the Social Security Administration is really trying to encourage everyone to get direct deposit. Enter your mailing address. So let's see. And then these witness signature fields are only required if the applicant signs with a mark instead of their name. You can still do this. And these are signatures of witnesses that personally know the person and can vouch for their identity. And then the last thing here, receipt for your claim. So if you're filing in person, you should receive a receipt. It should have a telephone number that you can call before you receive a notice of award. It may be a different number after you receive a notice. Should have the SSA office that's processing your retirement application and the date that they received the claim. They should also have some information about how long it should take to hear from the Social Security Administration, and then this information below should reflect your information and your claim number. On the very back, the form discusses changes that you may need to report based on changes in your future situation and how to report them. We do kind of capture all of this and more in our article, so be sure to check that out. And I think that is it with the application form, form SSA-1-BK. As I mentioned, we cover this step-by-step in our article, so be sure to check that out. We'll put the link in the show notes, as well as the links to resources we've created about other forms that we discussed here. So if you like our articles, please subscribe to our newsletter. If you like our YouTube videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And as always, if you have any questions or comments, or if there's another topic that you'd like to see in an upcoming video, please hit me up in the comment section. Thank you very much and have a great day.